That was Shelly, who is trying to reclaim her life after a mass shooting at the Washington State Mall where she worked. She joins us now. And Shelly, I just want to say how sorry I am that you had to witness this, that you had to witness your friend, your coworker perish in this horrific act. I see the pain in your eyes. I see it. How are you coping in any way, shape, or form right now?
I find that I tend to stuff it quite a bit. Pretend like it didn't happen and just kind of hope that I'll go through the day and there won't be a real trigger that'll make it really obvious. My new coworkers know, but I find that if I try to pretend like it isn't bothering me, then maybe I'll get through the day a little bit better.
And you have 3 sons.
3, yes.
And how has it impacted your family?
It's hard because it's hard not to feel like it isn't fair that it's impacted them. You know, they weren't even there, and it impacts. I find them trying to protect me a bit, not to ask a lot of me, and I find myself not wanting to bring them down, so I am maybe not around as much as I would like to be.
You've changed, haven't you? You're not yourself.
Yeah. Man.
How was that for you, seeing that tape again? I mean, that was so vivid, so realistic. I'm still sick to my stomach seeing that.
It's almost easier to watch it on tape than to think about the way it felt like it happened. There's a little bit of difference in your memory versus reality. And so sometimes I watch the tape and it bothers me. It doesn't feel like that was the way it went.
That sort of addresses what's going on with you. There are certain triggers that you can't stop yourself from thinking about, right?
Yeah, and they're the ones that you wouldn't expect. It isn't a fear. It's little things like a customer having Shayla's last name, or things that you would never expect to trigger you do. And so you can't really brace yourself for them. And I think that's why I avoid everything.
I want to ask you, because of how much this has affected you, and in fairness to you, you know, this is still very fresh. No one would expect you to be feeling anything different than you are. But you acknowledge how difficult this has been for you and for your kids. And I just mentioned that the U.S. has more mass shootings. Your kids were in a mass shooting at their high school, is that right? Yeah,
luckily they weren't there, but they knew everyone involved. Had grown up with them.
So
it's their second mass shooting in less than 3 years.
And then there was the secondary aspect also. Can you tell us about the online bullying that occurred after the shooting?
Yeah, you see the really worst in people who go online and say it didn't really happen and it's a conspiracy and it's all pretend. And my youngest son knows logically that doesn't matter, but I still see him defending it online and saying, you know, my mom was there. And you know, they lost people that they knew, and it feels like it disrespects their lives to have people do things like that.
Let me ask you this, because you're here today to tell your story, which I think is very powerful, and I don't think anyone here would feel any differently than you feel. Do you feel like you're at a point where you're ready to reclaim your life a little bit? Because what I'm seeing is so much sadness, so much post-traumatic stress, and maybe even the feeling like you don't deserve to be happy right now?
Well, yeah, it's hard not to feel that. Sometimes it's hard to be out because you don't know if everybody else feels like you were the one that should have been the only one in that area to come out alive. And then you also don't want to be a downer to everybody around you. And I feel like kind of that's all I am now.